back and working on another episode of the Honda K-Swap. Now, we are waiting on the clutch, so it should be here a few days. So I can't do a whole lot in the engine. You know, I've got as much as I can get done on the engine right now. So I'm trying to work on the interior and try to get a jump start on that. One of the problems I'm having with getting these doors and everything back on the car, because if you remember, when we first got this car back, the previous owner stripped everything. The regulators, window motors, pedal assembly, brake booster, proportion valve. He gutted my once beautiful car to make a kit car. It's his car at the time, he can do whatever he wants, but what a shame, because this was such a nice car when I sold it back in the day. So these doors are the original ones, but I had to go in and put in all new regulators and all that. It was a pain in the ass, honestly. Well, when we towed the car up from Florida, I made the mistake and we loaded it on the trailer backwards for whatever reason. Not a good idea when you're towing a Fiero to tow it backwards. The rear glass, the mirrors, things like that are not meant to take hits like the front of the car is. So one of the casualties of the trip is this mirror got broken out. I don't have replacement glass, and it's not just the glass, the backing plate for it, everything's gone. So hopefully somebody out there could hook me up and get me one. The mirror's body color, so I can't replace the whole mirror. I have to replace the gut swap it, basically. I jumped the windows yesterday just to make sure they roll up and down okay and that they seal up against the weather strip just right. And this side required no adjustments whatsoever, which is why I left the door panel off this whole time, was because I figured I'd have to adjust the glass. I got lucky on that one. So I'm going to go ahead and put the mirror on so I can get the glass in, because really, if somebody comes through and has the part I need, it's just 3 screws to take this assembly out and put the other one in. No big deal. So let's get to work. Now, to make your life easier to get to these 10 millimeters, you really want to pull the inner wipes off and then the upper rail that clips the top of the door into place. Then you can get in. I still have to take this little piece of wet strip off, but boom, get in there with a 10 millimeter. Get in there with a 10 millimeter ratcheting wrench. Knock that out real quick. It's a pain in the ass to try to do it any other way. So now I gotta find the hardware. I like to do these up by hand. The sheet metal is very thin. As you can see, that one's actually stripped out because people probably used a screwdriver, or not screwdriver, but like an electric drill or something, run those down in, and it strips them out because the metal's really, really thin. All right, get ready to put the door panel on. Make sure you got this trim piece. This blocks air coming in through the door handle. 2 little slots, one there, one there. That's right. These are power window, power door lock doors. I don't believe I connected the harness to the body. It is a slightly different body harness for power window, power door lock door versus just a power window door. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think,
as you can see, the doors, they plug in together just fine right here. These are the connectors. But they also have this connector, and that connector. And that's what's different. Obviously, this is the original one here from the car. So that's why we're not hooking up the power door locks until we can change out the body harness.
Alright, let's get the door panel. Okay, before you put the door panel on, you want to make sure that you have all the plastic clips. That one looks broken, but might hold for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Need to find 5 of those clips.
Before.
Not bad for a first clean.
A funny story, way back, and I'm talking 90s, I found a company to manufacture carbon fiber overlays for stock interior parts. I sold a ton of these back in the day, and this is one of the first sets, and it's funny, still have it. Make sure it still has a little silver clip on the inside. That's what holds it in place. There you go. Another door panel done. Alright, one of the next things we're going to do is
Mount up the Haltech ECU in the stock Fiero location. Oh yeah, that's gonna work out great. And that's where she's gonna sit.
that for the clearance for the plugs.
All right, and we are back working on the K20 for Brian's Fiero. Now, you might be asking yourself, why has the alternator been removed? And I'm going to show you why. All right, what we have here is the original intake from this JDM K20A. So, as you know, clearly it's going to fit. It is a very tight, it's very tight to squeeze this in. But anyway, see that gap there? Got plenty of room between the intake runner and the water pump housing assembly. So, let's set this out of the way. What we have up here is the TSX intake off 2005. I've got it all clean, painted, fuel rail installed. It's ready to go on the car. So let me set this camera up and I'll show you what happens when you try to fit it. Some high value production here. Alright. See there? The intake runner hits the water pump housing. So, we are in trouble. Well, not really. Because I found this out a few days ago and I went on ahead and I ordered this part that's in this box. So, let's show you what I picked up. It's hard to do one-handed. Get out of there. Aha! This is a very crusty Acura TSX water pump housing. And if you notice, again, let me try to get set up. Alright, you notice the difference here in the way this is all set up? It doesn't look like it, but there's quite a bit more room, I think. We're about to find out. I'm going to take it off and try to fit it. So, yeah, let me get on that. The record. Alright, now the intake is on. And as you can see, man, it is a tight fit. But it fits. So now let's get the EP3 idler pulley on there and see how she do. Alright, now that we have the TSX water pump housing on, idler, pulley, and well, actually that'd be the tensioner and that'd be the idler. It's tight, but it all fits. And then we gotta take it all off and then media blast the water pump housing and get it all looking nice and pretty and transfer over the water pump back on and get it bolted on. Because the flywheel bolts will be here Monday, and then this is going on to that, and then that is going into there, and then we get to do the wiring. Oh, that's me tilting my head down. Oh, I really don't want to do it, but it needs to be done. Or we could do the coolant pipes. That would be more fun. Yeah, let's do that instead. We'll wait for Garth to come help me with the wiring. It wouldn't be a problem if this wasn't bolted on with studs up here on these top two. You could get it on and off easily, but since there's studs in the head, it makes getting the intake off a pain in the ass. See that? Look, it comes right off. So just need to shave. Nailed it. Just will shave a little bit off his top edge on the belt sander. Yeah. Alright, I'm not going to bore you with the process of making this look all, making it look all pretty. So, before, after. Alright, well, looks like we have found yet another difference in the process of swapping everything over to the TSX water pump housing. Well, the K24 water pump is just ever so slightly bigger than the RSX base model water pump, which is what I bought. This is brand new. So, it's just like it physically sets up on there, but the bolt holes don't line up. So, gotta go get another water pump. Awesome. Start with an American market TSX engine. It'll save you so much money. All right, well, I just realized I didn't do an outro for what's going to be the end of episode 34. All right, let's see where we're at. I am changing up the water pump housing, getting all that situated, because we're basically converting Brian's K20 over to a TSX engine, or RSX Type S engine, essentially. So I have to go get a new water pump tomorrow. The RSX base versus the TSX is ever so slightly different. The TSX water pump actually, it looks like a bit bigger. So, gotta go get that. Gotta get intake manifold gasket, then we can get the intake on. But the good news is, in the next episode, the clutch kit is here. So, and thank you, Antonio, for getting that sent over to us. So, the clutch will go in, but that's dependent upon if we get the new flywheel bolts. I should have ordered them months ago and just slipped my mind. Which hopefully those will be here Monday. So in the next episode, we will be getting the clutch installed in the car, getting the engine transmission back on the cradle, finishing up whatever wiring on the car, gonna put it the whole assembly into the car, mark where I want the wiring harness to have a bulkhead fitting, which those arrived. So we're going to do a bulkhead fitting on the wiring to where it goes into the firewall. That way you can disconnect the wiring with one bolt directly from the firewall and drop the engine out. No more going into the car, removing the center console, unhooking it from the ECU like you do on the Fiero. Mine's all going to be done on a bulkhead wiring harness fitting. Okay, yes. Also in the next episode, once we get the engine in the car, we'll start laying out the wiring, and then we're going to start working finally on the coolant pipes. I'm using, I can't remember what size it is anymore, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, something like that, aluminum tubing that we're going to be making all as coolant hard lines, make all coolant hard lines, and we're going to have those TIG welded together, or I might Durafix them together, and that way, only thing on the, for as far as coolant hoses go, at least the big ones, the radiator hoses, it's going to be just short sections of straight hose. That way, if ever has a leak, Brian's only got to replace a short section of straight hose. I think it looks cleaner, and of course, it's a lot easier than just going into your local parts store and say, "Oh, I think that hose will work." So that's why we're doing it this way. So we'll see you in the next episode. Don't miss it. All right, thanks for watching.